Wayne's remark, he would probably be the first to acknowledge that with practice, the ability to think on one's feet is a valuable skill every speaker can develop. Today we're going to learn how to develop that skill and meet the challenge of impromptu speaking. This presentation is part of Toastmasters International's The Better Speaker Series. The Better Speaker Series is a set of programs offering additional information on basic speaking skills. Today's presentation will be given by Trent Martin. It will be approximately 10 minutes. Please welcome, to give us the full Monty on impromptu speaking, Mr. Trent Martin.
Hey. Thank you for that magnificent display of effusion. It's Thursday and we all know what that means. That means it's raining. Traveling through the slush and nasty weather to get here, but we're all here and we're all safe. And we're going to talk about impromptu speaking because this is something that I personally find is the biggest challenge, and I think a lot of Toastmasters have a challenge with as well. So, what's more challenging than giving a speech? Just how about giving a speech without any preparation? But that's something that we do every day. Every day we're faced with impromptu speaking situations, whether it be going to the store to make an exchange, job interviews, office parties, wedding receptions, you name it. Every day we're giving impromptu speeches. And in Toastmasters, we practice this through table topics. This is when we get up here and we're expected to give a coherent and entertaining and concise 1 to 2 minute response to a question. And most Toastmasters find this very difficult to do. The question is, why would we do it? And the answer is, of course, that we need to practice because impromptu speaking is a very valuable skill that we all would benefit from. Although we can anticipate a question or predict, well, we can't anticipate a question. We can't necessarily predict when we'll be asked to give a few words. It is possible to be prepared and confident next time we're asked to speak. We have a formula that we can follow that will help us in our extemporaneous speeches. Now, I put it up here with the help of my daughter who wrote this out. She's a big help to me. Listen, pause, confirm, tell, and end. So let's go through each of these steps one by one. Number 1, listen. Responding to a question involves more than just a few clever words. All too often we hear someone else's words, but how often do we actually listen to their content? The best speakers know how to listen and realize that a good response is dependent on an attentive attitude. And paying attention pays off. Because through careful listening, we're already forming part of our response. Here's a scenario. Say you're attending a dinner party at the home of a business associate. And someone begins to discuss the current state of the economy and compares it to your company's recent annual report. And suddenly all eyes are on you. Awkward? No. Because by careful listening, you've already formed the first part of your response. Suppose that you happen to agree with what's been said. Your reply will reflect this by reinforcing the other person's words and perhaps with a compliment thrown in for good measure. What a startling comparison, Bob. And as a matter of fact, you're right on target. If, on the other hand, you happen to disagree with what's been said, this is your opportunity to tactfully correct the original statement. Although I admit your concept's interesting, Linda, I have to disagree. The XYZ company has always operated in the black, and you can't say that about our government. Being an effective speaker goes hand in hand with sharpening your powers of concentration. So resist the impulse to interject your own ideas before the other person's finished. Focus instead on what's being said. By careful listening, we convey respect. And when we respect what the other person says, we're more likely to be listened to when it's our turn to speak. We have already made dialogue because, again, we can incorporate some of what's been said into our response. And we can make sure that our response is right on target. Because there is a possibility that we might have misunderstood the question. Number 2 on this list is to pause. Some years ago, Coca-Cola Corporation advertised a soft drink as the pause that refreshes. Realizing what a stupid slogan that was, they soon dropped it. But it is useful for off-the-cuff speaking to silence. Take a few moments to pause before you speak. After all, no one really expects you to just get up and start rattling off statistics and numbers. So take a second, and having a pause can even add drama to your reply. Scriptwriters know this and often have an actor pause for a few beats before making an especially powerful or profound statement. Your pause can be simply a few seconds of contemplation, allowing you to organize your thoughts. You can take time to smile or nod or otherwise acknowledge that you've heard the question. And whatever you decide to do, remember the silent pause. Remember, and I think Dan will reinforce this, that a pause is much better than a verbal placeholder like, or you know. But it's hard. Any experienced speaker will tell you that silence is the hardest thing to do on stage. So even as the old proverb tells us to look before you leap, so let's also remember to pause before you speak. Number 3, confirm. Repeat the question. Just repeating the question out loud gives your brain a better opportunity to absorb the concept and provide you with a better response. And don't discount the possibility that you might have misheard the question. So restating it will allow you to verify the topic. And number 4, tell. This is the meat of the response. Now that you have everyone's attention, dazzle them with your reply. As you express your thoughts, opinions, or ideas, remember to stay focused. At this point, in fact, your challenge is to tell only the basics, but to sound like you know more than what you're saying. This can be the most difficult part of your impromptu talk. Many speakers find themselves so energized at this point that they're ready to discuss their topic from A to Z. And that's why it's important to remember the 5th and final step, end. We've all been held hostage by someone who cannot stop talking. Don't be one of those people. Once you've said what you want to say, don't belabor the point. Bring your comments to a close. Emphasize your main point. Smile while making that final comment and audience contact, and then sit down. By definition, you can't prepare for an impromptu talk, but there are several strategies that will help us to do that tell portion of the speech. One strategy is to express an opinion. You do this by using a supporting statement, and in general, when you were just replying to a question, you would use one statement. If you're doing a short speech, you would use 2 or 3 supporting statements. You could address cause and effect, because some topics lend themselves best to this type of talk. If you're talking about the high rate of lung cancer, that's the effect. And then you can discuss the causes, first and secondhand smoke exposure, and the eventual consequences, hospitalization and early death.